Hello, my name's Dan and I'm the company director for a company called Rowan Comm Limited, and we are a franchise for Vodafone in South Yorkshire and the Derbyshire area. We've got several stores across Sheffield, Chesterfield and Barnsley. I started the journey to my role a long time ago. I come from a single parent family. We didn't have much money in quite a tough area of Sheffield. I did quite well at school, got quite a few GCSEs, which allowed me to go on to college where I did A levels in business studies, accounting, computing, and general studies. However, due to the fact that I come from a single parent background, I wasn't able to move on to university as in order to support my family. Literally went straight out to learn working on the job and learning my skills from the start. So started selling all sorts of various things from sheep fencing, but I always had a keen interest in technology. So as a position came up for another telecommunications company working in one of their call centres, I thought it was an ideal chance to get into a sector that I have quite a lot of interest in. So I worked there for several years, managed to work my way up through the ranks, but the journey time was quite high. So I had the opportunity, so a job for Virgin Mobile, so began working for them. Worked for Virgin Media altogether for about 10 years. So again, just started as a sales advisor, worked really, really hard, got promoted to supervisor, as they used to have like little stands in the shops. I then became a store manager of what was called a standalone store, so a proper bricks and mortar shop. Ran that for a number of years, helping my boss do lots of different tasks and duties. I was trying to learn as many skills and as many qualities as could that would help me in future jobs. And then decided to look to expand my career elsewhere, which I then at that point became a store manager for a really big store for Vodafone. Worked for Vodafone for several years and then had an amazing opportunity with Vodafone to become what's called one of their partner agents, which is basically a franchisee. So a franchise is basically a separate company that trades under the banner of a much bigger company. So even though my company is completely separate to Vodafone, we have Vodafone uniforms, we have Vodafone name over the door, and we sell Vodafone products, and we represent Vodafone. So I love the role because you have very much self autonomy. What I mean by that is that you're literally your own boss. You are responsible for your results and you're responsible for the staff members under you. So, literally, my decisions determine how my staff perform, how they get rewarded. My decisions are what drives the success of the business. I have to build plenty of business plans. I have to plan for the unexpected. Um, it's great to see when my stores are performing well. I love to see the feedback that my staff get from the customer interactions. Um, what also motivates me to do that role is just expanding the business. So when I first started, I looked at one store, but then decided to take two on. And then just before COVID, had expanded to a third. And it's about looking at where more can I expand that business? What more can I do? How, the success of the business means that I can take more staff members on, so I can get more jobs out into the community, that I can make sure that every person who works for me is able to upskill themselves and that they learn new talents through the coaching that myself and my store managers and my team leaders do with all the staff people who's on site. And it's great to watch a business grow and then start to look at diversifying perhaps into other business sectors. You don't have to stay with just the telecommunications sector. There's loads of different business opportunities out there. So aiming high. You have to make sure that you are always looking for that next sale, that you're looking for your staff to get that next sale, that it's that plus one, that plus 20%, put that extra effort in. There's a target that we've got to achieve. Even if it looks like that target is unachievable, then we still have to make sure that we try our absolute best to make sure that we smash that target. If you think that you're not going to hit a target, then you've already lost. So it's really important that you aim high and that you always, always believe that you're going to achieve what you want to achieve. I think what goes into that has to be forward planning, and problem solving. So, on a daily basis, literally from starting at 7 o'clock in the morning, there can be issues that need to be addressed straight away. We could have a staffing problem in one store. We might have a customer issue that needs resolving. So the customer is helped in another. We could have something, a logistical problem, such as we've not had a delivery of phones, or a system problem where the computers aren't working. So problem solving really, really goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's about that forward planning. It's about being proactive. So if this happens, I've already got this plan in place to make sure that any disruption is absolutely minimised, and that we learn from anything that is completely unexpected. So should something happen, or if someone makes a mistake, that's okay. We're human at the end of the day. So it's about, not that the mistake was made, but more that you learn from that mistake that you've done. And that's a quality that I really go to instill in all my staff members, to ensure that, we're only human. We all make mistakes, but what's important is that we learn from that mistake, and that we make sure that in the future we don't make that mistake again, or we can see that problem coming over the hill, and we know how to avoid it. We know how to avoid that bump in the road. But I would also say, as a third, leadership obviously goes without saying. For my position as being the director of a company, my staff look up to me. They expect me to set them direction in the morning. They expect me to set direction when I do visits in the stores. I give feedback while I'm on the shop floor. I will work alongside them to make sure that, I'm showing that I'm not asking them to do anything that I'm not prepared to do myself. You keep a professional distance between you and those staff members. However, you're there should they want to talk to anyone, or if they have any needs, or if they have any issues that they can't think to resolve themselves. It's about being open and letting people know that you are willing to listen to them, and that you are willing for them to come to you, so you can help understand what their issue is, but more importantly, help them understand what the issue or what the problem is, so they can overcome it, and we can all be successful. The more successful my staff are, the more successful my business is, the more successful I am. And leadership has to be all about investment in your staff, pointing everyone in the right direction, and being there as a definite support function should people need it. A lot of people think that after COVID, after all the high value brands that you've seen disappear from the high street, all the big names that have disappeared, the big department stores, that there's not really many jobs in the sector. But I can assure you that there is quite a few. A few of my other colleagues who's in the business I know are recruiting as they're expanding their businesses. As I speak to you now, I'm currently recruiting for business expansion and replacement of staff as people do move on. Just because COVID has closed some of the big high street names doesn't mean that the smaller, younger businesses aren't innovative and aren't expanding. So there is still quite a need for people to work frontline in stores. And it's not only the front line. There's a lot of operational roles in our sector that's required. There's a lot of managerial and leadership roles that's required in our sectors, because there is always a turnover of staff. People go on to different ventures, or they fancy a different change in career. We're always looking for people who are very determined, people who are willing to learn new skills, people who are, have a great personality, people who are great at communicating. that people who listen really, really well to the people who they are serving. And, we're always looking for people who are willing to grow, take that feedback on and looking to develop themselves. And that's really, really vital, I would say, in any role, just not in our sector. As a salesperson, it's about delighting the customer. It's about showing off a product and making a customer understand why they need that product. That's why we always like people who are bubbly, people who love talking to other people, are absolutely vital in our sector. And, great salespeople are always the people who are, very outgoing, who have great personalities, always do really, really well. And, just have a think about when you've been into a store or a shop, how does it make you feel when you're met with a smile or someone who's really, really chatty and really trying to get to know you compared to someone who just passes the product and moves on to the next customer. So if you think about what I've discussed around what we like to see for the people in our sector, have a think of the skills that you possess from the Skills Builder website. Have a look at those skills. But what I want you to have a think about is not the skills that you're good at, more the skills that you think, "Do you know what, I could do with working on those a little bit." So the task I would set you is, which skills do you think I need to develop a little bit, I need to work on? But more importantly, what are you going to do in order to build those skills and improve them? What resources can you use in order to improve yourself in those areas?